Kasi in running. But if I'm there, kung nandyan ako, wala ng indecisive, putang ina, sumunod kayong lahat. When I say that you have to stop fucking the people's money, stop it. You spare me. I don't need it. I said, I have enough accolades in my lifetime to make me happy. Why should I look for trouble? Pero pag nilagay din niya ang do not fuck with me because I will. Talagang gagawin ko.
So no qualms about killing killers.
Yes, of course. I must admit that I have killed. They 3 months early on, I killed about 3 people. Yeah. When I said I'll stop criminality, I'll stop criminality. And if I have to kill you, I will kill you personally.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maria Ressa. This is Raptor Talk. We're sitting now with Davao Mayor Rodrigo Duterte. Thank you for joining us.
Salamat sa panahon mo.
Can you please, you are the man of the hour. People wanted to know whether you're running for president, vice president, yes, no. Finally, there's a no, but maybe there's a maybe. Where are you?
Well, first of all, I am not the man of the hour. Maybe just a man trying to run a city. Ang OIC ko, yung the last, the one I filed was for the mayorship of Davao City. And I think that had my daughter agreed to have filed hers, COC niya, I would have considered myself retired from public office. That's what I told people of Davao City. For the longest time, I've been trying to raise the idea of a Davao City under a new leadership. Maybe my daughter, it could be somebody, I do not know. It's the changing fortunes of politics, you know.
But people wanted you to run. I mean, what made you so successful in Davao?
Well, just follow the law. So every time there's a question, there's an issue, there's a controversy, I would just ask you, what's the law? Follow it. So, including policies, difference of policies and other, well, maybe yung hindi nakakaintindihan, then I would just say, what's the time-honored policy in this institution? It could be a national office, because sometimes I'm called upon to mediate and labor, and always say, just follow the law, and if the policy is there, we honor it, and that's it.
But you went beyond that. I mean, there was a period of time when you first came in that peace and order didn't exist,
yes,
really. Law and order didn't exist.
I must admit that there was a turmoil in the past, and I had to act decisively. And let me just say, without saying so many words about this, I would just say that there were things which I had to do because I had to do it. And nobody was going to do it for Davao City.
Like what?
Like the ones that people are crying about until now. And maybe the eternal complaint of Secretary De Lima when she was the chairman of the Human Rights Commission. And of course, ETA. Whether they are on the right track or not, or were on the, I am not ready to expound on it. Maybe someday.
You're talking human rights charges,
yes, of course.
extrajudicial
yes, of course.
killings. And
it's a public record that cases have been filed against me. And they say that my name is even in the High Commission of the Human Rights Commission of the United States. Well, that's part of a day's work, I would say.
regrets? Or
None.
you did the right thing?
None. If I were returned to the original day, then I would still do it, because that's the only way that I could keep the peace in Davao, and how it could develop what you see now.
Right now, part of the reason people want you to run for the president or vice president is because you are a strong leader. I mean, what is this yearning in Filipinos for a strong leader? Well, what do you think of this?
Well, I would say that what you say in public, you must do. So never say something in public that you are reluctant to do or will not do it at all. One, you must have the credibility. So when you say, stop it because I will do it to you, then stop it so that I will not do it to you.
It got to a point that, at least these are some of the things that we saw, that criminals were afraid to come to Davao.
Yes, or would you rather I do not warn them and they would come here and suffer the fate? Would it be nice just to hear and say that there is a deterrence in that it might discourage them to do it? So you'd save more lives. And so when you say, when you have established the rule that you must not do it, then that's it. Or would you rather that I keep silent and then, well, they come and go and something happens to them? Would you not say that I'm saving lives in this process of doing it?
You're also a man of contradictions, because as you were running after criminals, or you're also talking peace with rebels.
Yes, because they're two different things. One is for pocket and the other one is ideology. Here is the rebels under fighting as a matter of principle. And here are the idiots, the criminals, because they want their pockets and for gain, personal gain. There's no redeeming factor in killing people, robbing them, raping them, robbing them, and I do not say an iota of a redeeming factor in that kind of in this kind of world.
So no qualms about killing killers.
Yes, of course. I must admit that I have killed. They 3 months early on, I killed about 3 people.
Again, though, the peace with the rebels, this was also something that you did. I mean, it's
well,
a different...
I pursue it with passion. The problem is this rebel things, this insurgency problem, is not within the province of the local officials. All we have to do is just keep the peace, and if at all, just you have to be friendly with them, or else I cannot go to the mountains. How am I to expect the public works that are going on, and the things that you promised them, the irrigation and the like, government projects? Because I remember when I was about 3 months old again, so when I was mayor, I bought a new komatsu. And the rebels just burned it and pushed it down the crevasse. And so I decided that we have to talk. This cannot go on, and even the killings. But, I must admit to you now, Risa, I really belong to the left. My dimensions in life is, or are or is, my dimension is with the left. Kasi anak lang ako ng mahirap, and I am a son of a migrant in this island of Mindanao. We came here in 1949, and we had to hack practically ourselves to make a living. And the family, my family, even suffered a demolition right at the back of the Ateneo de Davao. Used to be a swampland, and nobody would really imagine that somebody owned it. But my father, a lawyer as that, he thought that nobody owned it because it was a swampland, it was a wetland. And turned out that every inch of the island of Mindanao was already covered with so many titles and honors. So in that sense, I grew up very conscious of the barriers of life.
A lot of the way you think has shaped Davao City.
Yes.
Let me ask you about national politics. How do you look at Philippine politics?
Except for the fact that we in the provinces, in the local government units, would just say amen to whatever is decided on. You know, politics in the Philippines, especially the presidency and the big positions there, they are there. They're decided by the ruling elite in this country ever since. And if you trust, it was the sugar block, the barons band, who had so many haciendas there, but they were based in Manila. That their big business also, and the sugar block also of Central Luzon.
Yeah.
And you up to this day, you can see who and what the title is. Whether it's the progressive bloc or it's being decided by two ruling elites. And you would be surprised to see that it's sugar or on big owners of the hacienda. I would not want to offend anybody. I do not want to mention names. But if you just analyze it very carefully, ever since it was the sugar block of the South and the sugar block of Central Luzon. And that's it. And until now, take a look. But of course, they had their businesses in Manila right now. Aside from the sugar money, they have built business empires in Manila.
You say you don't want to name names. I mean, sugar block of the South, sugar block of the North.
Yes.
Name.
Yes. I don't have to because they're my friends. And they might say that kung inggit ka lang, baka wala ka. Well, I would just say, if you're a Filipino, just take a look.
Do you think that can change?
Try to evaluate it, and it's still the same.
Could you have changed that?
I'm a socialist. And I think the Philippines is better off without me.
Why?
Well, magkaiba ang suddenly everything could change.
Everything you learned in Davao, could it translate to a national stage?
Yes, I would insist that everybody follows the law, whether you're rich or poor, and whether you're my son or my daughter. We do not make any special concessions for us.
So could you have made a difference in this power shift that you're talking about?
Well, in this sense, I said that I'm a socialist. That would give you an inkling of what I intend to do.
Right.
First of all, there's the gap that really divides this country between the rich and the poor. And now yung cliche na yan, the poor is getting poorer, the rich is getting richer. You know, they utter it every election, every candidate. Why don't you just do it? Why just shut up and just do it?
Yeah. Do you think would you be able to do it?
I will.
And what do you see needs to get done?
Well, in my previous discussions, kind of hard to be open about it right now. But they said that I'd like to change the picture. And they said that I'm a communist. No, I'm not. I'm not a member of the Communist Party of the Philippines. It's, I do not agree with the armed struggle. I do not kill Filipinos just for that. But I said maybe on the extreme But left center maybe. And I said I will stop corruption. I will stop criminality. I will fix government. Oh, how do you fix government? How do you fix the corruption in the police, the Bureau of Customs, the BIR, and every facet of the pagbaba mo ng airport, nandyan, bayad na. The Biheras, so many vultures out there, and they get stopped, and others are just simply kidnapped, and wala na.
You think you can fix these?
Yeah. Yeah. When I said I'll stop criminality, I'll stop criminality. And if I have to kill you, I will kill you, personally. Corruption, yes, and I'll fix government. How do you fix government? You cannot file cases every day. It would take you forever.
Yes.
One case, administrative, criminal. And I would just say that, stop. But I'll have to reform it. For example, like dito sa BIR, gross-gross na lang tayo. Wala na yung net-net. Kasi wala yan nakikita yung mga deduction. Just show your receipt and I'll just, increase the penalty for the fraud. But if you tell the truth, there's nothing really to worry about. Yung resibo, wag mo lang pikihin tapos naman. Have your copy received by the BIR, then you pay. Then if the BIR wants, they can go after you, but only on matters of fraud. You pay your taxes there. Same with customs. You do not transact money there anymore.
You have strong ideas and you have a will to make this happen. Why did
Yes,
you not
and I
decide?
said, well, sinasabi ko lang naman, if you get elected, better not. I'm just warning everybody, go somewhere else. Because if I'm there, within 6 months to 1 year, papahirapan ako ng Congress. Because I have to say to them, stop. I will not get anything there except my salary. You do not get anything there. I just said, Kowa, you just do you audit every month. That's your job, you audit every month, then nobody gets the extra frills. But if Congress would get mad, and if they threaten me with, if Congress would threaten me with impeachment and sasarang ko, I will close Congress. I will use the money to increase the salaries of the teachers. My mother was a teacher. And to her retirement days, she was paying 5-6. And now there are so many teachers in this country who have to walk 3 to 5 hours just to get to the school where they teach. Gamitin ko yung pera, I'll increase the salaries of the teachers, the police, and the military. I'll give them more than double. But if they begin to shit, then maybe I'll just, maluwang naman yung Manila Bay.
I was going to ask to do all of these things. Do you
Yes,
think
I'll
you
do
can
it.
survive? Would you survive?
Well, I will be assassinated maybe, but to those right-thinking military men and the police, if you want this country to bloom something more than just what we are suffering for, alam mo kasi ganito yan eh. Do not ask me to run. I've been telling people, because I will just be adding my 6 years to the wasted years of Estrada, Arroyo, Aquino. Pag idinagdag ko yan, alam mo ba ilan yan? That's 24 years of kalbaryo ng Pilipino. Huwag mo ang gawain sa akin yan. Because I will not sit there as president and just like any other regime, sabihin ko yan lang ang kaya ko. You spare me. I don't need it. I said, I have enough accolades in my lifetime to make me happy. Why should I look for trouble? Pero pag nilagay din niya ang, do not fuck with me because I will. Talagang gagawin ko. Then, police. some generals just have to resign. I will pay them the retirement handsomely.
Do you think one man can make that much of a difference, to turn the entire system upside down?
Yes, always. It's always in every dictatorship. It's gonna be a dictatorship. It's the police and the military who will be the backbone. If they agree with you, if the right-thinking policemen and military men agree with you, then after 6 years, there will be a new setup, maybe a federal type, less corruption, and a fresh air for the next generation.
By not running now, who benefits?
Kind of hard, but anybody that any of the three could win. Huwag na lang muna kasi kaibigan ko sila. But, well, sabihin ko lang, anybody of them, you still suffer. But that's it. Pero, I'm not saying that hindi nila, they cannot hack it. What I'm saying is, yung plano ko para sa bayan ko, maski ganito lang ako. And I've always said, there's always a prefix in my talk and said, baka sabihin niya, I am a Filipino. I am Rodrigo Duterte, I'm a Filipino. I love the Philippines because it is the land of my birth. It is the home of my people. Hanggang dyan lang ako. Kung ayaw ninyong maniwala dyan, beto, ako, any of the three, ewan ko kung kaya nilang gawin yan.
Umpisahan po natin kay Mar Rojas kasi sinasabi po nila Grace Poe has citizenship issues, Binay has corruption issues, and Miriam is sick. So, Mar Rojas.
Well, si Mar Rojas is a friend of mine. But I have, when the time comes, I'll have to be frank to the Filipino people. As a friend, I will just hold back. But if I am asked now, in my capacity as a government employee, and to tell the truth, I will tell the truth. Kay Grace naman, wala namang except that she has to surmount the challenges of residency and citizenship. Mabigat yan. Talagang ako mabigat yan. I would rather have a barangay captain than play with the idea of, tapos nandyan na siya sa pwesto, suddenly there's an official announcement that she is not after all a Filipino. That would be a tragedy, actually. That would be a tragedy. Walang mabait siya. But the fact that we could have an American president is something which I cannot totally accept.
I go back to Mar first before we go forward. I mean, you had first-hand experience with him.
Yes, I was in Leyte because it is the land of my birth, I said.
Yes.
And day 2, I was already there. I brought my 911 ko, 10 doctors and nurses, and a truckload of medicines.
How would you gauge his performance?
Could I just postpone it a little bit longer? Stretch your question to maybe at the proper time I'd go to your office and volunteer the information.
The type of leader then that the Filipinos need right now, what would you say?
Yeah, it's a catch-22 actually. Because if you begin to talk about Marcos, then I would say that you favor the dictatorship and the abuses during martial law. But somehow, if you want also to compare everyone else, parang wala eh. So I would just say that minus the desire to be a dictator, minus the plunder of the country, money and all. I don't know if he was the one who did it, but everybody was at it at that time. Yung, alam mo kasi ganito yan, Risa. Dito sa Pilipinas, there's such thing as obey the law. Ang problema, halos lahat. Because if you become the president, you do not only change leaders, but you have to change the Filipino himself. Kasi ang Filipino ngayon, hindi mo masabihan na obey the law. Sige. Yan ang batas. Sige. Sabihin mo sa kanya, this is the law. Putang ina, pag hindi mo sunod ang batas, putang ina ka sa akin, bantay ka. There is no fear for obedience of the law. It's everywhere. It's universal now in the country. Walang takot sa batas. Pwede silang the mandate to obey the law is really just an option now for the ordinary guy. Kasi nakita mo, dadaan ng nagsasalubong ng traffic dyan. And because may election, takot yung barangay captain, pag ako ang nasalubong mo, sagasaan talaga kita. Pag namatay ka dyan, pasensya ka. I told you to obey the law. So if you go against the traffic, at nagdala ako ng traktor, at nasagasaan kita, putang ina ka, pasensya ka, letse ka. Sinabi ko sa iyo, sundin mo ang batas. Kaya dito sa Davao, ganyan, sundin mo ang batas, bawal manigarilyo. Pag naman nigarilyo pa kayo, ipapakain ko talagang sigarilyo sa iyo.
So parang benevolent dictator?
Hindi. I do not want even to be the centerpiece of that. I just want you to obey the law. Whoever is the son of a bitch sitting there as mayor.
So now, of course, people still speculate that there is a possibility you would still run for president, that it's possible to replace
Well,
the
they say
PDP
that I am
laban.
disqualified. I hope I'm disqualified.
No, you're not disqualified.
Sabi Manila noon sa itong kumilik na ito, isa pa to. You should disqualify me or else I'll... Well, anyway,
But there's a chance that you could take the PDP laban.
I am a PDP
I
laban.
mean, the position.
I did not file my PDP laban dito kasi local aggregation lang ito. So if I'll file, hindi naman kailangan yung PDP laban for national. Pan-local lang ako because I said I just wanted to be a local. So ito lang ginamit ko. Pero kung gusto mo mag-PDP laban, I could always use the PDP laban because I have been a member of good standing.
Right.
But they say that I just say bad words from time to time. Kasi hindi ko mapigilan yung init ng ulo ko. Totoo lang.
Pero right now, you could be substituted for the PDP laban.
I don't know,
candidate
but
for president.
whether I would want to be there or not is something else. I said,
Is that a possibility?
I told you to avoid me. I'm telling the Filipino people, wag ako, it's gonna be bloody.
It's a possibility.
Pati pahirapan. Yung sinabi ko, sumunod kayo within 6 months to 1 year, pag pinahirapan ninyo ako, then magmukha akong tanga, and I will just add my 6 years of inutility to be on the 24 hours of kalbaryo ninyo, huwag na lang ako. Marami dyan. Pero pag ako, yung the distinct possibility of closing ko, mabuti lang pag magkaintindihan. Sabihin ko, stop the PDAP, stop everything, and we live by our salaries. Diyan, hanggang dyan na lang tayo. Saka ba ko, and even in this matter of, alam mo dito sa Davao, hindi naman ako nagyayabang. Kasi totoo, I do not allow purchases of cars of 1 million. Abansa lang yan dito, it's about 700. I do not allow purchases. Hindi mo pera eh. Just be happy with the thought that you have a car there provided by government, including the gas. If you go more than just hindi natin pera to. So, better start the business. Malakas naman ang bintahan ng durian.
Mayor Duterte, let me get back to, again, the interesting thing. I think you just said that there is still a possibility. The second point is, for such a decisive man, you know what you want, you're very decisive. In this running for president, why so indecisive?
Kasi in running. But
Yeah.
if I'm there, kung nandyan ako, wala nang indecisive, putang ina, sumunod kayong lahat. When I say that you have to stop fucking the people's money, stop it. Pag ito lang ang binigay sa atin, diyan na lang, di magtiis tayo. At least kayong mga tumakbo, total 4 years lang man to. So magtiis kayo lahat. Pag sinabi ko wala ng PIDAP kasi ayaw ng tao, wag na ninyo akong pilitin. Wag ninyo akong takutin at wag kayong mag-TRO sa akin. Kasi there is really the possibility of sasarahan ko kayo.
So what, I go back to why not?
Indecisive in the sense of running.
Why not run if you know what you want?
I have to be really honest about it. I said at the start of this interview, I'm happy where I am. Matanda na ako. I've served government for 10 years as a prosecutor. Then OIC vice mayor. Then naging mayor ako for 22 years now, running 23. Naging congressman ako. Para sa akin, tama na yun. And my mother, before she died, said, be happy with the thought that God gave you this so many years of productive life. Ang nanay ko mismo nagsabi na it's time for you to. And even my daughter. May gusto akong sabihin, pero I don't know if it's the right time.
Sabihin niyo na ho.
Baka magalit kasi ang asawa. My wife is ailing. Siya yung may cancer of the throat and hindi ko masabi nga. But ang usapan kasi namin, sabi namin, this is life and sabi niya na huwag ka na lang tumakbo. Enjoy your achievements at you just read between the lines. I cannot, sabihin ko sa iyo pagkatapos nito, when everything is shut off. Sabi lang niya kung butit na lang yung in our old age, ang mga bata may mapuntahan and you are not beset with so many appointments and you are there always, even at this late stage. May galit sa akin yan sila kasi naghiwalay nga kami sa nanay niya. So, yun ang sinabi ng asawa ko. So, I agreed. And when everything is shut off, I tell you why.
You talked about what you wanted to do in the country, what you would do if you're president. What about where we fit in the rest of the world? China, US?
China, if you look at it very closely, the China problem is nakakatawa yan because, well, it was being built and it was shown by the satellite surveillance and everything. Ang America did nothing. And now yung kompleto na yan, America is threatening to patrol the area. For what? Is it America really going to finish off the war there or dismantle everything? Bakit hintayin pa niya? And America is very cozy with the Chinese. I think America has a wounded soul. America is afraid to go to war because it is not really because when you start a war now with you have the both ends of Russia and China. Talagang mapupulpog itong planet na to. And I think if you commit the mistake of just pressing one button there, is going to end the world. I think Americans are not ready for that. They are not suicidal in that sense. And though they have many problems in Europe, there is Greece and there's a growing hegemony of the Russians and the Chinese. The Chinese are trying to buy the yung utang nila sa IMF.
Billions of dollars.
Kasi yung pinahiram sa kanila, pangbayad lang sa interest. So, yun ang masakit sa kanila. With Russia offering everything, including oil, there's gonna be a new, a new hegemony there somewhere. Ang Amerika is nakatali siya because of ito namang sa Middle East. The Middle East is a product of the exploitations of the Western powers in the years past. They took advantage of everything. They controlled the price. Well, it helped the Arab countries, but only that much because the money went to the pockets of the Western world. So, and we have this Putin. Putin is also suicidal. Diyan sila takot because Putin is egging for a trouble. And once a war starts here somewhere, involving now America, China, it's going to be the end of the world. And America also does not want war. And second is, they have a problem because the ugly head of bigotry is rearing its. They do not want to talk about it publicly. Parang they try to belittle it, but if you have been there, they hate each other's guts. Talagang puputok yan balang araw. It would come to a head. I am very sure of that. We're not generation, pero that's what you get for being so much open to multi-racial and multi.
So the way you see foreign policy for the Philippines, for example?
Well, we're better off making friends with China. The end of it, America is also the best friend of China. We will adopt a neutral policy there. Then, dito sa new trade agreement sa Pacific Rim, we were not included. So we're better off with Asia. So if you are not there, you might as well go for just China, Japan, and at a higher price kasi mahal man talaga. It's very hard to deal with the country which is ang currency nila mataas. But it could soften. Wala na tayong pakialam eh. Wala na tayong pakialam. We're so isolated na sa Western world. And China can help us. Ang akin naman, I have talked to the one that was involved in that shooting. He was here during the Double 10, and we had a talk. And I said, Mr. Consul, we cannot remove what you have built there, erected some garrison there. But I would appreciate if you stop harassing our Filipino fishermen. Because verily, they are fishing within our exclusive economic zone. It so happened that you extended your territory far and wide and has put us in a quandary. Why don't you just expand westward? In a way, there's an opening there to the Indian Ocean. You can have half of it if you want. I said, we would not begrudge you. We cannot destroy that. But can you please just stop?
And how did he respond?
And I said, we will talk about it. Yes. But the problem is I do not have the voice of government. But I'm saying now is just stop expanding even for an inch. Yeah. Allow the fishermen because that's survival. They're part of our food security. It's a rich fishing ground. Do not arrest them. And we will not arrest you. Leave us alone so that we can live and subsist there. This could be a very interesting. It is, I said, because it involves the stomach of the Filipinos.
So reading in between the lines, you lean towards China more than the US?
Yes. Okay. Because I do not see any I mean, the United States is not threatening us.
Yeah.
It has never intruded into our waters. They are not getting anything. But of course, over the period of years, they got billions from this country, including the years of occupation of 50 years during the Parity Rights Agreement. And until now, it's obvious that what we are asking is just a minuscule of, not really the charity of China, but their understanding that they are within our.
I want to ask you just one more question, and then we can move on to your last thoughts. The last question is about history. I mean, you were in Davao for a very long time. You left a mark in Davao. Filipinos, we see the same names, the same politicians. We've had Aquino, too. Now we have Bongbong Marcos coming up again.
Well, that is the. I don't know I have to get the paradigm of the average Filipino actually. It is not convoluted, but sometimes to me it's confused. To my mind. And whereas ako naman, I would say for the Marcoses, it would be a terrible thing also to visit the sins of the father upon the son. Pati itong, maybe it's, Filipinos are just melodramatic. Kasi sa mga program dyan, yung the comics, yung ating mga, to read too many comics before and listen to many dramas there sa TV. But what I'm really very sure of is that the Filipino, the average Filipino is compassionate and willing to understand.
Short memory.
Short memory.
You talked about power structures earlier, right? I mean, you said you identified more with the left. Milan Kundera wrote this book, what is it? Unforgettable Lightness of Being. He said, the struggle of man against power is the struggle of memory against forgetting.
Yes. And I said, it's not an elephant's memory. It's that small. And said because we are compassionate, hindi natin masabi na gagawain niya ng anak. Iba yung tatay, iba yung anak. Which ako naman, tinitignan ko rin yung tao. If you're really capable of doing it. Mura dito sa, parang dito sa wala no danger. Because if you do that, then there's going to be, really, you'll have to go into spasm there, somewhere. Depende na lang if you're ready to die, or get assassinated, or.
The last question, Alan Peter Cayetano still is looking for you as a presidential candidate?
Yes, noon pa naman yan, and he really came here for the purpose, announced his candidacy as vice president, and in his public statements, invited me to join him. Me as president, sabi ko. Pero then the following day, not even 24 hours, Bongbong was here also. Pero rin sinabi ko sa kanilang dalawa, hindi ako kandidato. I am sorry, but I do not have any plan of running for the presidency.
So if you were going to retire, is what you're saying,
Yes.
which we can't seem to see yet. But if you're going to retire, what are you going to do next?
Well, magtrabaho para makabili ako ng medyas. Yan, ulan.
Mayor Duterte.
Hindi kasi, matanda na talaga. I'm tired. I'm also tired. I do not have the stamina anymore. And that would be a telling indication that it will not be also fair to the Filipino people to have a president who cannot work full time. Kasi ako kung magising ako sa umaga, ayaw ko nang tumindig eh. Gusto ko lang mag-linger. And just call my aide and say, may nangyari ba na mabigat that would really prompt me to stand up and dress up. Pero wala, ayaw ko na. Sa hapon ako nag-opisina. Pagod na.
Parang the man who was talking earlier about what the president should be doing is very different from what you just said now.
Well, hypothetical yun. I was talking about any president for that matter. Pero kung ako sabi ko, hindi ko naman pinagkaila yung left talaga ako. Never hid it
Yeah.
for a moment.
I remember talking to you about this many moons ago.
Yeah.
Mayor Duterte, I just saw this from Comelecto, the COC forms. PDP's Martin Dino actually used the wrong COC form. He used a form for mayor instead of for president, but the COC is labeled Certificate of Candidacy for President. I guess this means that
It's labeled as president.
yeah, but the
It's
form
the,
is
it's the
mayor.
problem commonly for giving him the
The
wrong
wrong form.
form.
Okay.
Hindi naman talaga kandidato yan ng Manila. Hindi naman taga dyan yan. It is the fault. It's the fault of the. Pero the word their president is there.
Yes,
But they
yes.
control.
Yes, and Kamalek actually stamped it. At least this is what our researchers I just saw this when we were going through.
Dinya should not lose sleep there. The words are controlling. Kasalanan ng Comelec yan.
Okay. Your last thoughts?
Well, I said, I love my country, period. But there are things which I cannot do.
We've been speaking with Mayor Rudy Duterte here in Davao City. More to come. I'm Maria Ressa. Thanks for joining us.